Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome to Siege Play channel. My name is Brooke and I woke up maybe 20 minutes ago. I'm very tired, but it is the summer. I am in Southern Zone, Central Texas 8B, and if you don't get out first thing in the morning, you're not getting out for the rest of the day. So you're probably at this video for a couple of reasons. One of them is that you have moved to an area with clay soil and you don't know what you're doing because you've never had clay soil. Welcome to the party. Or you've tried to garden in clay soil, had issues, and now you're here to figure out how to not have those issues. So, for whatever reason you're here, or maybe you already know what you're doing with clay soil and you're just trying to get ideas, also another option. Whatever your purpose here, there's a few things of context I need to give you. Thing number one, the beds that you're seeing have only been established one time. I used a till once and never till again method, which means I did till. I tilled in a lot of compost to break up the clay soil because I did not have time when we bought this house to wait for things to break down, use the cardboard method, all of those things. So that's one thing to know. Second thing to know, I've been gardening here in Texas for a very long time. These are things that work for me. It doesn't mean they work for everyone. So be kind, gather information. We're not here to tell people they're wrong. So with all that being said, the bed we're gonna work on today is this absolute monstrosity, which was my heirloom tomato bed. It was big and beautiful not that long ago, and the temperatures have gotten so hot here, it is no longer big and beautiful. So before we get into amendments, thing number one that I want to tell you guys is focusing on building your soil is the most important thing you can do in the garden. And the first thing is how to pull out spent plants, which probably sounds kind of dumb. The reason it's not dumb to talk about how you take your plants out is because in clay soil, a plant that has broken through that clay is a very valuable plant to your future soil. And the reason for that is it's already broken through all of that clay. So then what happens is once the roots die, they leave behind this really nutrient rich, it's called humus in soil science land. They leave behind this really, really rich stuff that's decaying matter. And that's what organisms will come in and eat and reprocess, and that's what makes really, really good gardens. So instead of disturbing the soil life and ripping the plant out, I make exceptions for if the plant is sick, just for the record. In the case of this tomato plant, I'm actually gonna cut it at the base. So what will happen is over time, this little base will just disintegrate and die. And it's also really good for not disturbing the rest of the soil life that you're gonna have in the soil. So let me get done with all of this and then I'll show you the next step. I got a coffee delivery. Okay y'all, we are on day 2 of amending this bed. Had to cut it off yesterday after clearing most of the tomato plants because, well, I have a job that isn't making content. So, so with this bed, what we're gonna do next is it's fully cleared. All of the marigolds have been ripped out. I did just go ahead and rip out the marigolds. I just didn't feel like navigating around all the little flowers and cutting them at the root. So those aren't as bad because the roots are really shallow. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna talk about all the amendments, but first what we need to do is aerate the soil, okay? Now, I don't believe in fully disturbing the soil, but we need to disturb the soil just a little bit because it's heavy clay soil and I want all of these yummy amendments that I'm gonna give to the soil to really get down in there. So first things first, I always mulch. I do have fresh mulch to put down after we do the amendments. I use cedar mulch, and I use cedar mulch because it's naturally pest resistant, but then also it's very available in our local area because I'm in Texas and there's cedar trees freaking everywhere. So we're gonna rake back the mulch and then I'm gonna show you how I aerate soil. Okay, so a couple of things. Most important thing being, if you are obsessive about your weeds, I need you to watch this video that I made. I'm gonna leave the description down below, but you're gonna see a lot of weeds in my garden. And I did the best I could. I got the tops, but weeding, in my opinion, is just a part of gardening. So I just put all my amendments over the weeds, I do my best, and I move on with my life. So when we're talking about aerating the soil, I just use a pitchfork, okay? I don't use a broad fork. You can buy a broad fork, they're kind of expensive. I just use this guy, okay? This is all I use. So you're gonna do this every 6 to 12 inches, depending on your preference. Because this is the first time I'm doing this, I'll probably do it about every 6 inches. But all you're gonna do is put your pitchfork in the ground. I'd love to see the pitchfork go into the ground that easy. That means the soil's nice and healthy. And then I'm going to tilt this back, okay? Probably to like a 45-degree angle. Okay, don't go crazy. You don't want to lift up the soil. You're not trying to turn it. You're just trying to lift it up just slightly so that when we put all these yummy amendments in, you know, they'll be able to get down on the ground. So my immediate observation halfway through doing this is the ground is much better where the tomatoes were planted because the roots really broke up that soil. I didn't have anything planted in the middle right here, and the ground is significantly harder. So it just goes to show that when you grow stuff in the ground and you have roots that are really breaking up that soil, it's really in your best interest to just really try and plant some stuff that has some aggressive roots on it. That you may or may not have heard about soil in general, but especially clay soil, is don't walk on it, because that's going to compact it. I think that's bullshit. And I'll tell you why. All of the research that I've done on soil science, soil is like meant to be walked on by like animals or whatever. As long as you're not doing it excessively, like all the time, it's probably fine. Like just walk in your garden beds. Don't be upset about it, okay? So next we're going to talk about amendments, which is probably what everybody is the most interested in. So let's get into it. All right, so our bed is cleared. Half our bed is cleared, because mentally I just need to get half of this done so I can keep going. So first thing we're going to use is this. We're not going to the gym today, are we? This is expanded shale. Now, expanded shale is low-key magical for clay soil. I used it for the first time in the spring, and I cannot believe how much less I had to water. So what expanded shale is a shale's rock. Okay, so what they do to this rock is they heat it really hot. They heat it really, really hot, and it expands and becomes really porous. They're like little pebbles, okay? Now you're probably wondering, Brooke, why are you putting rocks in your garden, okay? Well, they look like rocks. They will break down because they've been heated to the point where they're very porous. The other benefit about these little expanded shale rocks is they will help break up your soil and retain moisture because they're porous. Now, I'm not going to use a lot, and I wouldn't use this every time I was amending. This is mostly because I'm still establishing these beds and I'm still getting them filled. So I'm going to lay this down first. I'm not even going to lay down that much. Like, I will maybe use, let's call it 2 pounds out of like the 40 pounds in this bag. I got this bag to put on all of the garden beds, which is a lot. And I'm just gonna spread it around. Now, you can also get compost with expanded shale in it. That's what I used originally to establish these beds, and you don't even notice that the shale's in there. But I'm telling you from experience, I've been gardening in Texas for a very long time. We had a decently wet spring, but this is the least I've ever had to water my garden up until like July. Like, I had some people telling me they were watering every day. I was watering twice a week up until July. So that's what I have to say about that. So the next amendment we're going to use is leaf mold compost. This is a locally made one, so I feel really good about using it. But leaf mold compost is really an extremely natural compost to use because leaf mold is happens naturally. That's how forests exist, is with that kind of mold and that kind of soil structure. Now, you're probably gonna notice a lot of the stuff I put in here is very based on having fungus. And that's because fungus and attracting microorganisms is hands down the best way to break up clay soil. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can till, you can use shale, but at the end of the day, bringing life into your soil is the absolute best way to do it. So we're just gonna spread this. Okay guys, the next amendment we're gonna use is composted chicken manure. Not gonna lie, it smells terrible. I used to swear by manure that was all from ruminants, like cows, but unfortunately with some of the new herbicides that they are using, the herbicides actually live through the cow's reproductive tract. So you can do some Googling on that yourself. It's called Grazon. It's not great. So I am going to chicken manure. That's what I used in all of these other beds, is chicken manure compost. This is a really good way to replace nitrogen, but it's also a really good way to just replace in general the fertility of your soil. But it smells so bad. The next thing we're using is probably not a very common thing for most people to use, but I had the opportunity to get it, so I got it. These are mushroom blocks, okay? Now, I got these from a plant sale I went to where Central Texas Mycology was giving them away for free. They are spent mushroom blocks. So what they do is they literally grow mushrooms out of these little holes. I think these were oyster mushrooms. But all the stuff in here is good stuff. It's all just fungus. So I'm gonna break these up and spread them. And there you go again. We're just introducing soil life to the soil. So if you know of somewhere local that grows mushrooms and they use these mushroom blocks, highly recommend trying to get your hands on them, because we used to, when I was helping run the community garden near downtown Austin, we used to get these for free. They would just donate them to us, and you would not believe the health of the soil after using something like this. Like, it's damp. It's so full of life. So what you're gonna see me do is pretty funny, but as far as I know, it's the most effective way to break them up. This you should definitely have access to, and I know that because I got it at a big box store to make sure that people are gonna have access before I made this video. These are earthworm castings. Earthworm castings in a very well taken care of soil structure are already there because you have earthworms in your soil. I'm not quite there yet. So I would say the amount of earthworm castings you put on your garden is probably like salting your food. Like, enough so that it looks like it's gonna be good, but not too much, because that's when you know it's not gonna be good. I have a little hummingbird that comes and visits me every morning. Looks very happy today. Okay, so the last thing that we're gonna be adding is this. Now, I chose to talk about it last because it is expensive. It's about $25 a bag, and to establish this garden, I put one of these bags in every single one of these beds, and it was very expensive. So I'm only gonna use half a bag on half of this bed. This product isn't necessary. I think you would do fine with everything else I've showed you so far. However, it's a very good product, and I really enjoy using it. I've been using it for years, and I'm not gonna say it's like the key to my success, but it's extremely rich. It's made with bat guano and more earthworm castings. So again, it's a very, very rich compost, and it's not very woody, but it is expensive. So if you have access, I would go for it. If you have access and funds, I would go for it. If not, I don't think it's gonna make or break your garden. Okay, so very important. Before you mulch, you want to water your lovely, beautiful new soil, because once you get the mulch on, it's gonna be a lot more difficult to get all that soil nice and damp underneath your fresh mulch, especially when it's a freaking 105 degrees outside like it is right now. Oh, this hummingbird, are you gonna come say hi? Oh my God, guys, I wish I could take a picture of this right now. Oh, I love her so much. Maybe it's not a her, I have no idea. Hey y'all, and the only thing left to do is spread some mulch, but because the sun is chasing me, I'm gonna cut this video short because I'm already sweating enough to make my eyes sting. So thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, comment, all of the things. I really love this community that I've built here over the last few years, and I hope you join me along the journey. So thanks so much for watching. Happy gardening. We'll see you next time.